Hi, I'm Lisa Andrea, Transformation Life Coach. Welcome to the Ladies Who Leap podcast, where guests share their inspiring stories of leaping out of their comfort zone with confidence and power and into a life of purpose and fulfillment. Let's listen to their life-changing stories so that we can all learn how to gain the courage to take a leap of faith into a life that we love so that we can all be Ladies Who Leap. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ladies Who Leap podcast. And I have a wonderful guest today. I know you're really going to enjoy hearing everything she has to say. Joining us today is a remarkable parent coach, Merri Guggisberg, who specializes in helping families navigate the often challenging transitions in their children's lives. So parents, pay attention. As we shift from a relaxed rhythms of summer to the structured demands of the school year, our guest brings invaluable insights and practical tools to ease this transition. She assists parents, grandparents, and caregivers in fostering environments where listening and connecting triumph over the distractions of digital life. With a focus on turning everyday challenges into opportunities for strengthening family bonds, our guest is here to ensure that every family can start the school year on the right foot. Please welcome the insightful and empowering Merri Guggisberg, MKG Parent Coach. Welcome.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Oh, what a joy to be with you, and thanks. It's a joy. It's fun to hang out together.
Yeah, and remembering that this is going to be out there for perpetuity. It's not just what Merri's going to talk about today is not just to help you in this particular time. However, it will be able to help you throughout the year with your children. And there are a lot of things that happen in children's lives that are transitions in their lives. So I'm looking forward to what you have to share with all of our guests that are parents, grandparents, or just caregivers of children. So you call the business, or you call yourself MKG Parent Coach. And from what you've told me, MKG stands for mindfulness, kindness, and gratitude. So what can you give us some tips? First of all, why you ended up using those three particular traits to name your business and yourself as a coach? And then can you share working with parents to improve their parenting skills, what these three important skill sets have to do with that, or important elements have to do with that?
Yeah, wonderful question. And again, thanks for having me join you. Mindfulness, I think that, so the MKG, mindfulness is the importance of being present in that purposefully in the moment. It's so easy for us to get lost in the, got to get my kid to this sport and I got to get my kid to this. And we forget that, you know what, those 18 years truly fly by. So I want to empower parents to just be mindful, put away devices, and let's just show up and be present. It's true that whole put your oxygen mask on first. You have to do that so that you can check in. Well, what am I feeling in this moment? And then I can turn into, how can I help my kiddo? How can I support that child? Kindness, it's the top thing. If you were to ask a parent, what do you hope for your child for their future? That's the top thing parents say is, to define success for a parent is that my kid is kind and that they're respected and they respect others. So kindness. And how do we model that kindness? How do we model that kindness in our own home, between siblings, between parents, between co-parents? How are we modeling that? That's going to just ripple out into, and then that rolls beautifully with gratitude. Even in the challenges, parents hurt when their kids hurt. And there is a life lesson in it. And then we can look back and be grateful for that experience. In the moment, it's really hard. And that's when it's a perfect time to have a support person that's going to be your shoulder to shoulder, your hand in hand support. Because you're like, I don't understand. Why won't they talk to me anymore? They used to talk to me and they don't talk to me anymore. And then we can learn together and then find ways to be grateful for, look at that life skill my child developed during that challenging season.
It's really interesting when you're talking about skills that I work with adults and women about, and what everybody talks about, being present, being grateful, being respectful, being kind. So you're trying to train, I'm going to say train, mentor and coach parents to have children that start at a young age with these particular traits. And that way, when they become adults, it's just going to make the world a better place if all the kids were trained that way. I always say it would be nice if this was something that was really focused on in school. Have you ever
Oh,
worked with any schools to do this type of training?
yeah, yeah, exactly. I do a lot of public speaking, and that is one of the areas that I don't know, do you have PTAs where you are, PTOs, so parent teacher organizations? Yeah, they've brought me in. And then there's a lot of other places that I've done public speaking, but it truly, when you get that foundation in, then it's like your values. You're naming the principles, the values that you're hoping for your kiddos to have. And then everything relates back to that. Well, this is why we have a curfew. This is why we don't want you to sleep with your cell phone. This is why. So it just all of it seems to circle back.
Wow. Very nice. This is really good work. Yeah, it's something that's really needed, especially with the social media and the way it's affected children. I mean, you and I grew up, we didn't have that. We had going out in the neighborhood and maybe
Mhm.
having somebody who called us a name or bullied us or in some way. But magnify that 3,000 times, I'm going to say. I'm making that up, but it is so magnified with social media. I can't even imagine what it's like to be a child these days. It's got to be so difficult. So we're going to go back to you, talking about you in particular, because you've had a couple leaps in your life. From what I understand, I was wondering if you can explain how you went from working for your church and nonprofits, and then with the parents at the church, and then turning that into the parenting coaching type of environment and business.
Yeah, well, and what a beautiful foundation for what you're doing. So thank you for supporting those that are like, can't I do this? Yeah, I did work in ministry for 10 years. And in ministry, I was working with young people in grade 6 through those first 4 years out of high school. During that season, I really got firsthand brain development, physical development, of course, but brain development. And then coupled with that is parents coming to me like, we used to talk, and now my kid, I get a grunt. That's what I get instead of messages, actual conversation. So it was supporting parents in that season. From there, I mean, I did that job for 10 years. And then from there, yeah, I went into an agency as their their parent coordinator, their parent education coordinator was my title. So a lot of public speaking. And it was parents coming up afterwards going, Merri, I need more. That was really helpful. That's like, I can read the book. The book is out there, but how do I really apply that in my life? And you hear that enough times and you're like, there's the nudge. There's the reason to take the leap, to use your words. And I did. And I have learned so, so much. It's people like yourself that I've been able to go, teach me about this. Because to start your own business, holy moly, the learning curve is huge.
Yeah, and if you're not a risk taker, like I wasn't, never trained as a child, and my family were not risk takers. They were like work for a company a long time, which I did. But if you're not, having your own business and starting it is a very scary thing. Where did you get that courage to do that? Now, I understand people were already asking you. So a lot of times it's you're already doing it. People are asking you and kind of nudging you along. But where did you get the courage to know that you could do this and be successful?
Yeah, well, for starters, I didn't even know there was such a thing as a parent coach. I
Hmm.
mean, there were parent educators, I knew that. And I think it was just a conversation over coffee with someone who's like asking for support. And we were walking through this and she goes, have you ever heard of being a parent coach? Have you even thought of that? And it was someone planting that seed that then I did the research and I sat with people, learn that there's a certification program. I'm one who needs education. I'm a lifelong learner. And when I did the education course and I got certified as a parent coach, you have that little more confidence in yourself. But it really wasn't until you're, after your beta client and after you're in it and you're like, oh my gosh, it's a glove. It just feels right. It's not simple by any means. And it really does take having, I call it that circle of support. So it's making sure that I have people, and I still have this. It's still new to be doing this on my own. And it's making sure that you have those peers, those folks that are coming alongside and going, hey, you're a couple of steps ahead of me. Can I learn from you? And it's been, oh my gosh, I've learned so much. I wish I could even like think of the right words to say. Oh, I can. It's gratitude. I have gratitude for all those folks that are like, you can do this. They believed in me, I think, before I believed in myself. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, and that's not uncommon for somebody to say that, because one of my next questions was, where do you get support from? And it sounds like you have a great community. You're, just to be clear too, you are coaching the parents.
Right.
You're not coaching the children, you're actually coaching the parents, which is how the children are gonna be, they need and require direction and discipline. This is something, how they become a good human being in our society. So you're actually coaching the parents, which is a really, really good concept.
Thank you.
What, do you have a story of a particular parent or grandparent that you work with that just really stands out on something that's just a real good news? This is how you help this person type of story. I'd love to
Yes.
hear it.
Oh, what a great question. Um, so I can think of a couple, but I'll give you one. So one is a mom who literally, she has three daughters, and she was like, Mary, I am tired of yelling. That is the only way my daughters will hear me, is if I lose my cool. And she literally, she was on the phone sobbing. Like, this is not how I want this, the last few years of my children living under my roof. It's not how I want them to be. So we walk through, she started, I have a 6 week program, and she started with the 6 week program. And she's like, I'm not done with you yet. So then she did the other. So I have a 12 week program as well. And during those 12-ish sessions, she's telling me it's working. My girls are coming to me. They're talking. We are not losing our cool. And then she's like, and I'm using it in my classroom. She's a school teacher. And she's like, and I'm not losing my cool in the classroom. So just helping her feel into her body, like, where are these emotions? What is bubbling up? And what do I need to bring myself back into alignment? One session, we could walk through that and we start unpacking those emotions, the true name it to tame it. And
Mhm.
it does work. It really does.
Wow. And to have her, because again, you talked about modeling earlier,
Yeah.
how you react to getting angry or fear or any of those emotions that come up. Your children are going to see how you do it, and it's really going to, they're going to model after you. So it's important to show them the healthy way of handling all
Mhm.
of these emotions, right?
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that you do public speaking. What kind of public speaking? Who is your audience? Where do you target? Where do you go?
Yeah. And public speaking, I think, is one way that builds that know, like, trust. And it did take, again, back to that taking the leap, right? It really did take the confidence in myself to be, I can stand in front of these people and represent myself. Because when I was working at that mental health agency, oh yeah, I was representing them. And it's totally different. Well, not totally different, but it is different.
Yeah.
Public speaking has not been a concern for me. I enjoy, I have a teaching degree. I enjoy that part. But when you're in front of folks representing MKG Parent Coach, one example comes to mind is a faith community. So I told you I worked in ministry. That's a natural place for people to call me and say, Mary, we're looking for a speaker for this. And then I go to a lot of churches, a lot of faith communities. And this woman reaches out and she goes, I have grandparents that don't know how to connect with their grandkids.
Mhm.
Well, think of devices, right? It's
Yeah.
such a different world. I mean, you said it too, Lisa. We weren't raised with those things. And grandparents are like, we could coddle when they were toddlers, we could connect then, but then they hit that elementary and middle school years, and they're like, there is such a disconnect. So I was invited in, and these grandparents are now staying in my loop. They're not hiring me as a coach, but they're following all my social media. They're following my newsletters. They're commenting, and they're like, I'm getting like the aha moment, like the light bulb over their foreheads. You can just see it turning on. So trusting me that these parents that are bringing me in, the grandparents are gaining from that as well. Yeah, so that's just one. I mean, and it's also, I've been in a lot of schools. You asked about that. I've done schools to do public speaking, and there's a couple agencies that have brought me in, and monthly I do something virtual. So every month, people that jump into my social media, sometimes they're charged and sometimes they're free. It all depends on what the topic is and where, if I have a guest or not. So
And we'll let you share all of the ways that people can get in touch with you at the end.
love
I
it.
have one question that I ask all of my guests at the end. What is your favorite mantra, quote, or positive affirmation, or even prayer? In your case, being part of the ministry, what is it that you love so much that you can share with our guests? I mean, our
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah, but I want to rewind too, because I thought of something else that I didn't share with you, and then I'm happy to answer that.
Mm,
Is one thing that I think when we talk about how do we support parents raising great kids,
mhm.
and I I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. Um, for helping our future generations is I love to have conversations with parents is like, hey, can you define success? What does success for your child look like? And every parent's going to come at that in a different place. And then you think of now, I invite you to ask your child. And your child might come at that and say, well, it's getting an A in math. It's the quote unquote achievement. So what I encourage parents, and I would welcome this as a dinner conversation, is invite kids and all of us to explore two questions. Who did you help today, this week, this month? Who did you help today? And then the second question is, who helped you? And if we can step into that, it's okay to get help. We are such a society of, I have it figured out. I don't need anyone to help me. Where wouldn't you want that for your child? Mine just launched. My son just moved and is starting his career job. I hope that I have taught him that it's okay to make the circle bigger. It's okay to ask for someone to come alongside and not think you have to figure it all out yourself. So
That builds your ability to trust others too, because
yes,
a lot of, in my case, I, even when I would get sick or go through things, I didn't trust that girlfriends or other people could
right.
take care of me. And so I didn't want to burden them and all that.
Yeah.
You're building that in your children and other people's
Yes.
children. That is fantastic. So you're kind of fixing them and giving them all the skills so they don't necessarily have to have a coach or a therapist down the line.
And
Thank
even if they do, that's great.
That's
We
fine.
all
Yeah.
need that circle of support. That's why it's there. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to receive help.
That
It's okay
is
to give help.
fantastic. Oh my gosh, Mary, you
Yeah.
are really doing some great work. This is
Yeah.
really exciting. So
Thank you.
before, I know everybody's like, get to the point. We want to know how to get a hold of her.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you again for your favorite quote, mantra,
Yes.
prayer, or positive affirmation.
Thank you. Yeah, so I thought a lot about this because I have lots of them that come up, but I think the one that resonates the most and the one I go back to the most often is it's a Mother Teresa quote,
Mm,
and it's spread love wherever you go, first of all, in your own home.
mm.
Spread love wherever you go, first of all, in your own home.
That's beautiful.
Talk about rippling that mindfulness, kindness, and gratitude, right?
All up in one. Yeah,
Yeah.
one beautiful quote. That's fantastic. Even if it resonates with one person that's listening here, it will really, I do believe it can change someone's life. So I really appreciate everything, taking the time and talking on the podcast. Everyone's now sitting on the edge of their seat. How do they reach you?
Yeah, so the business name is MKG Parent Coach. If you Google that, you'll get to my website. That is my Facebook is MKG Parent Coach. Google my name for LinkedIn. So Merri, and it's spelled unique, that Merri,
Yeah.
Guggisberg. And then you'll find me on LinkedIn, and I'm on Instagram under that MKG Parent Coach.
Awesome. Because I'm going to put all of your information on all the descriptions for
Thank you.
everything where everybody's seeing the podcast. So just look below. There should be links and everything to get a hold of Merri. Thank you so much for taking the time. This was a wonderful conversation. And I'm so appreciative because as I get older, you worry about the next generations coming up. And it's nice to know that someone is really helping people to grow and train and love and help
Yeah.
them be just wonderful members of society. That I appreciate that. Yeah. And
Thank you.
spread the love and joy. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to share that I took the step, I did the leap. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Everyone,
Enjoy.
thank you for listening to Ladies Who Leap podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening or watching. Please subscribe to the Ladies Who Leap podcast to be notified of new episodes. And I would love to hear from you. Let me know what works, what doesn't, and if you have a story to tell, please reach out. Come join the Leap community at the Ladies Who Leap Club Facebook group. Remember, leaping out of your comfort zone is where the growth happens.